Hey everyone and welcome back. We're diving deep today into something kind of spooky. 10 cursed magic items to spice up your D&D games.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah. And we've got a fantastic article from LitRPG Reads written by Paul Bellow to kind of help guide us along.
Thanks, Paul.
So, you might be thinking, cursed items. Why would I want to do that to my players? But honestly, when used well, they can really shake things up.
For sure.
I remember one campaign where our paladin found this magical shield. It gave him temporary invulnerability, but it also slowly drained his personality.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It was hilarious watching him turn into this, emotionless warrior, just spouting off these lines like, duty compels me.
Right.
Everyone else is at the table cracking jokes. It added this whole other layer of drama, but also humor to the game.
What's fascinating about that is it really highlights the storytelling potential of these items. They're not just about, negative stats or penalties. It's about creating these interesting dilemmas and forcing players to make these really, really difficult choices.
Exactly, and Paul Bellow really emphasizes that in his article. He says the best cursed items are really catalysts for storytelling.
Absolutely.
They create tension, they drive the narrative, and they challenge players in ways that they just don't expect.
And he also makes a great point that you really want to make those curses feel like a natural part of your game world.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you find a cursed item in a dragon's hoard, it should feel very different from one that you might discover in, a forgotten temple.
Right. The origins and history should really be reflected in those mechanics.
For sure.
Speaking of fascinating cursed items, let's jump into Paul's list. He's got some real gems here.
Oh.
Or should we say cursed gems?
Let's dive in.
All right. First up, we have the Pandoras Box. And this isn't your average trap chest.
Oh, no.
This thing unleashes a cascade of escalating catastrophes, each one more potent than the last. Yeah, the article mentions that the box tempts players with these promises of unimaginable power, but
Right.
it might start with something seemingly minor, like a localized plague of demons. But each day, the evil just grows.
Oh, gosh.
Potentially culminating in things like ancient dragons awakening, or even reality warping anomalies.
Oh, my goodness.
Can you imagine the panic at the table as things spiral out of control?
Oh, absolutely.
I love the idea of a ticking time bomb of chaos that the players have to manage.
Yeah.
It's not just about dealing with that immediate threat. It's about strategizing and maybe even making some morally ambiguous choices to contain the damage.
Absolutely. And here's the kicker. You can't close the box until everything inside has been released. So it really forces the players to think long term. Do we try and contain this ourselves or unleash it all at once in a controlled environment? Do we try and find a way to break the curse? So many possibilities.
Okay, moving on to something that might hit a little closer to home, especially for those with trust issues. Next on the list is the Cursed Sword of Vengeance.
Okay. I like it already.
This one is a classic. It offers incredible combat bonuses, increased attack, damage, the ability to sense enemies, maybe even some extra damage against wounded foes.
Sounds pretty tempting.
Yeah, until you learn about the catch.
Uh-oh. There it is.
Every time the wielder takes damage, they risk being forced to attack the nearest creature.
Oh, no.
Friend or foe, it doesn't matter. The sword doesn't discriminate.
Yikes.
Imagine the paranoia building up in the party. Is our fighter going to snap and attack us next? Suddenly, every combat encounter just becomes this tense balancing act.
Yeah.
Of risk versus reward.
It really forces them to constantly weigh, the benefits against the potential consequences. Do we keep this for the power, knowing that it could turn our most trusted warrior against us?
The sword isn't just a weapon. It's a ticking time bomb of interpersonal drama.
Absolutely. And it could even become a great source of character development for the wielder as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
How do they grapple with the sword's influence? Do they give in? Do they fight for control?
It adds this whole new dimension to the game. Forcing players to think, not just strategically, but also how to role-play their character struggles in this really deep way.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to an item that plays a particularly cruel trick on the wearer. The Amulet of False Immortality.
Ooh, I don't like the sound of that.
This one's devious. At first glance, it seems like a dream come true. It offers seemingly perfect protection, making the wearer feel completely invincible.
Oh.
Yeah, I can see how that would be really tempting.
Who wouldn't want to feel invincible?
Right. But we all know if something seems too good to be true.
It probably is.
It probably is,
Yeah.
and that's definitely the case here. While the amulet does prevent damage, it doesn't actually negate it.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it stores it up.
Oh my God.
Like a magical debt that eventually comes due.
Okay, that's terrifying.
So you're walking around feeling like a god, racking up all this stored damage.
Yeah.
And then, when that damage reaches a certain threshold...
It all hits you at once.
Oh, at once.
Huh?
Talk about a rude awakening.
Oh my goodness.
1 minute you're feeling invincible,
Yeah.
the next you're on death's door. And the worst part is, the article mentions that once that amulet has prevented a certain amount of damage, it becomes soulbound to the wearer.
Oh no.
No taking it off for a quick breather.
That's awful.
So it's not just a physical threat, it's a psychological one too.
For sure.
Knowing that you're carrying this ticking time bomb of damage, it would weigh heavily on anyone. A clever DM could really use that to create tension, suspense.
Absolutely. Do they continue using it and risk this massive backlash later? Or do they desperately search for a way to remove the curse before it's too late? It's a fantastic source of conflict and drama.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about an item that appeals to the knowledge seekers out there. Cursed item number 4 is the Tome of Forbidden Knowledge.
Oh, this sounds right up my alley.
Ah, yes, the classic dilemma of forbidden knowledge. The article describes it as a book that can answer any question, but at a cost.
There's always a cost.
And that cost is a gradual descent into madness and corruption.
Oh, no.
I can see how this would be particularly tempting for wizards or other spellcasters who are always eager to expand their knowledge and their power.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine being able to unlock these ancient secrets and master powerful spells. But remember, there's a price. Always a price to pay.
The article mentions that the corruption can manifest in different ways. Minor personality changes, recurring nightmares, paranoid delusions, even physical mutations.
Oh, wow.
It really messes with a character's psyche. And the truly insidious part is that each instance of that corruption feels like a reasonable price to pay for the knowledge gained.
Right.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
You start small, you justify each minor transgression until you're so far gone you don't even recognize yourself anymore.
That's so scary.
I can see this leading to some really great role-playing opportunities. But it's also this cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition.
Absolutely. And the tome doesn't just corrupt individuals. It can really poison an entire campaign if players become too reliant on its knowledge.
Right.
It's a reminder that power, even in the form of knowledge, always comes with a price.
All right, for our last cursed item in part 1 of this deep dive, let's talk about the Ring of Endless Whispers.
Okay.
This one is all about paranoia and mistrust. It preys on our insecurities, whispering doubts into our minds.
Oh, I don't like that.
It's like having your own personal demon on your shoulder, just constantly feeding you negativity.
Right.
And the ring starts by revealing these minor truths, these seemingly harmless things. But then it escalates.
Yeah.
It whispers things about your companions, your allies, even your own motivations,
Oh, wow.
making it impossible to know who to trust.
Yeah.
It's not just about outright lies. It's about twisting the truth, creating this web of paranoia that's just difficult to escape.
Oh, that's tough.
Imagine the tension at the table as players start questioning each other's actions, their motives. Was that a genuine mistake? Or was my friend deliberately trying to sabotage me? Is that NPC really on our side? Or are they working for the enemy?
Wow.
That's what makes this ring so insidious. It plays on the fact that even a small seed of doubt can just grow into something monstrous, especially in a high-stakes environment like a D&D campaign. You never know which whispers are true and which are lies. It creates this constant state of uncertainty where every action, every word is scrutinized and analyzed for hidden meanings.
It would be really devastating in a campaign that relies heavily on, alliances or intrigue.
Oh, for sure.
It could easily turn friends into enemies and completely derail a carefully planned mission.
Yeah, it's 5 down and 5 more to go.
Can't wait.
We'll be back soon with part 2 of our deep dive into these tantalizingly terrible cursed items. Until then, keep those dice rolling, and may your adventures be filled with just the right amount of chaos.
See you soon. Welcome back, adventurers. We're ready to delve into 5 more fascinating cursed items that Paul Bellow has curated for us. These next few explore some interesting concepts like manipulating reality and challenging personal truths.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's get right to it. Item number 6 on our list is the Cloak of Invisibility, with a twist. It sounds like a typical invisibility cloak, but I'm guessing there's more to it than meets the eye.
Oh, much more. This cloak grants perfect invisibility, but at a terrible cost. Each use slowly erases the wearer from reality itself, Not just visually, but from memories and records as well.
Whoa, hold on. So it's not just about becoming invisible, it's about literally fading from existence.
Exactly. It starts subtly, footprints disappear, belongings become translucent. People they've recently met forget their encounters. It's like their presence in the world is slowly being diminished.
That's a lot creepier than I was expecting. What happens if they keep using it?
The effects become more severe. Historical records erase their existence. Close friends and family forget shared memories. It preys on our deep-seated fear of being forgotten, of losing our identity.
That's heartbreaking. Imagine watching your loved ones forget who you are. But at the same time, the cloak's power is so tempting. You'd sneak into a heavily guarded fortress, slip on the cloak. Want to eavesdrop on a secret meeting, the cloak is your best friend.
It becomes a moral dilemma. Do you sacrifice your own existence for the sake of the mission, or do you find another way, even if it's more dangerous?
That's heavy stuff. It's not just a magic item, it's a catalyst for some serious soul-searching. I can see how this would lead to some fantastic role-playing moments as the character grapples with the cloak's influence.
Absolutely. And think about the party dynamics. Do they try to help their friend before it's too late? Do they try to find a way to break the curse? It opens up so many storytelling possibilities.
Okay, let's move on to item number 7, the Mirror of True Sight. This one sounds like it could be either incredibly insightful or utterly devastating.
It's a bit of both, actually. The mirror reveals hidden truths about the viewer, forcing them to confront their own flaws and misconceptions. It's almost like a magical therapy session, but with potentially dire consequences.
What kind of truths are we talking about?
The article mentions that the revelations can be about the viewer's past, their motivations, their relationships, even their destiny. It could be anything that they've been hiding from themselves or others.
I can see how that could be incredibly disruptive. It could lead to crises of faith, broken alliances, even a complete change in direction.
Imagine a paladin discovering that their order is corrupt, or a rogue learning that their family didn't abandon them, it was actually murdered. These are heavy truths to process. It could completely unravel a character's sense of self.
It's a powerful tool for character development, but it's also a tool that needs to be used carefully. It's important for the GM to work with the players to make sure the revelations are meaningful and manageable. You want to create opportunities for growth rather than just breaking the characters.
Exactly. This mirror isn't about punishment, it's about self-discovery, even if that discovery is painful.
Okay, let's shake things up a bit with item number 8, the Staff of Chaotic Portals.
Ah, yes, the staff that turns teleportation into a game of Russian roulette.
Where you end up is anyone's guess.
Precisely. The staff creates portals to random locations. It could be a different country, a different plane of existence, even a different time period.
Talk about adding an element of unpredictability to your game. Can you imagine the looks on the players' faces as they step through a portal, not knowing where they'll end up?
Picture this. Your party is fleeing from a horde of goblins, and they desperately activate the staff, hoping to escape. Suddenly, they find themselves in the middle of a royal banquet, covered in grime and clutching their weapons.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Or imagine stepping through a portal and coming face to face with a younger version of yourself. The possibilities are endless.
This staff is a gift for GMs who like to improvise. It's a constant reminder that sometimes the best stories are the ones we don't plan for.
Speaking of gifts, let's move on to item number 9, the Necklace of Binding. This one sounds like it starts out as a blessing, but quickly turns into a curse.
This necklace is a master of deception. It's a beautiful golden piece that offers protection from mental influence, which is incredibly valuable in a world filled with mind-controlling magic.
Of course, there's a catch.
There's always a catch, isn't there? The necklace has a will of its own, and it slowly starts to exert control over the wearer. It's like a magical parasite, slowly taking over its host.
So it starts with subtle suggestions and then escalates.
Exactly. It might start by influencing minor decisions, but gradually it gains more control, dictating their actions and even their thoughts. Eventually, the wearer becomes a puppet, their personality completely overwritten by the necklace's will.
That's terrifying. It's like a slow burn horror movie happening to your character. You might not even realize it's happening until it's too late. You might even rationalize the necklace's suggestions, believing that they're your own thoughts.
It's a fantastic way to explore themes of free will, identity, and manipulation. It also challenges players who enjoy role-playing their characters' independence and agency.
Okay, last but not least, we have item number 10, the Boots of Swift Misfortune. These sound like they'd be perfect for a campaign that embraces chaos and humor.
These boots were practically made for slapstick comedy. They boost the wearer's movement and acrobatic abilities, but they also amplify the consequences of failure. You might pull off an amazing stunt, but then trip over your own feet and land face first in a mud puddle.
Or worse.
Oh, much worse. The article mentions failed acrobatics checks, creating difficult terrain, missed attacks, hitting allies, all sorts of mayhem.
I could just imagine the chaos. The party's trying to sneak into a castle, and the rogue, wearing these boots, tries to climb a wall. They make the roll, but then, bam, they lose their grip and fall right into the middle of the courtyard, alerting the guards.
It's all about embracing the chaos and finding the humor in the inevitable disasters.
These boots would be perfect for a lighthearted campaign, where the focus is more on entertainment than serious storytelling. It's a reminder that sometimes the best moments in D&D come from the unexpected, the unplanned, the utterly ridiculous.
That's a great philosophy for any D&D game.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here today. From reality-bending cloaks to mind-controlling necklaces, we've seen how cursed items can add depth, challenge, and a healthy dose of chaos to any D&D adventure.
And remember, before we jump into the final part, that these 10 items are just a starting point. Use them as inspiration to create your own unique cursed items.
We'll be right back to wrap things up and talk about how to integrate these cursed items into your campaigns. Okay, so we spent the last 2 parts of this deep dive exploring 10 truly wild cursed items from Paul Bellow's article. It's been quite a journey through the darker side, the more chaotic side of magical artifacts.
Definitely, and it's been fascinating to see how these seemingly simple items can spark so much creativity and add a whole new layer of depth to your D&D campaigns.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling inspired to incorporate some of these cursed items into my own games.
Yeah.
Maybe a little chaos is exactly what my players need.
A touch of unpredictability can definitely liven things up. And that's what's so great about these cursed items. They're not just about throwing a wrench in the player's plans. It's about creating opportunities for memorable moments, challenging decisions, and truly engaging storytelling.
Exactly. Think back to the Pandoras Box with its escalating catastrophes.
Oh, yeah.
Or the Armor of Borrowed Time, forcing players to weigh survival against longevity. Or even the Tome of Forbidden Knowledge, tempting them with power, but at the cost of their sanity. Each item presents these unique challenges and moral dilemmas,
Yeah.
A chance for players to really dig into their characters and make choices that have lasting consequences.
It's those consequences that make D&D so much more than just a game. It's about creating a collaborative storytelling experience where players and the GM work together to craft something truly special, a story that everyone's going to remember.
Paul Bellow said it best in his article. He said, the best cursed items aren't just about, bad luck or stat penalties. They're catalysts for compelling narratives, for character development, for those moments that players will be talking about, long after the session is over.
Absolutely. And we can't forget those subtler curses like the Ring of Endless Whispers, sowing those seeds of doubt and paranoia.
Right.
Or the Necklace of Binding, slowly stripping away a character's free will. It's in those subtle moments where role-playing really shines.
Yeah.
And players have to wrestle with these really, really difficult choices and consider the potential impact on their character's personality and motivations.
So to all the dungeon masters out there, I encourage you to embrace the chaos.
Yeah.
Sprinkle a few cursed items into your campaigns and just see what happens.
Yeah, have fun.
You might be surprised at the stories that unfold, the unexpected turns the narrative takes, and the depth it adds to your players' characters.
And to the players, be wary of that shiny new loot. That seemingly innocuous trinket might just have a nasty surprise in store.
Oh, yeah.
But hey, even curses can lead to unforgettable adventures, right? It's all about adapting, overcoming those challenges, and maybe having a few laughs along the way.
Well, folks, that brings us to the end of another deep dive into the wonderful world of D&D. We've had a blast exploring the perils and possibilities of cursed magic items, and we hope you have too. A big thanks again to Paul Bellow, fine fellow, and LitRPG Reads.
Yeah.
For the inspiration.
Yeah.
And for reminding us that sometimes a little curse is exactly what a campaign needs.
Absolutely. Until next time, may your adventures be filled with laughter, intrigue, and just a touch of magical mayhem.
Happy gaming, everyone.